So he's going to record it.
Oh, okay, cool.
So you might just want to let
Sure.
Kathy, Betsy know.
Record. Okay. Let's see, what time is that? 6:18. All right, the time is 6:18, and we will be making a late start to this Central Region Town Hall. First of all, since we know we do not have a quorum, we're going to have to go ahead and roll a lot of what is on our agenda into the next meeting. And those of you viewers on Zoom, if for your information, we do not anticipate our sound to fully work, so this meeting will be recorded and released later for our records. Yeah, sure. Sorry. It's better in the audience? Everybody? Okay. Let's see, where was I there? Oh, okay. So I suppose for now we may as well just have the roll call that we do have. Vice Chair Alistair Pratt here. Secretary Atlas Pearson.
Here.
And like I said, we are not expecting Mrs. Schwinger, Kathy Herdman, or Priest to be able to attend tonight. So that said, going forward, do we have, let's see, our first actual information.
Yeah, I think we need to postpone 2A through 2D. And then 2G and 2H. Does that look right?
Yeah, I agree. Okay. So do you want to should we skip reverse F and E so that we just approve the calendar, current days for now?
2E and 2F.
Yeah. Okay. All right, sure. So that said, we have Highway Patrol Lieutenant Commander Mr. it's Fanger, right? Fansler. I'm so sorry about that. Here for a presentation from CHP. Would you like to? Yeah. Yeah, please.
Well, hello. Thank you for having me. My name is Dan Fansler. I'm the Lieutenant Commander of the California Highway Patrol in Lake County. I'm happy to be here. I guess I'll just start off by talking a little bit about what our main role and function is in the county, in case there was any questions. We obviously, our main mission, the Highway Patrol's main mission, is to protect the people driving on the state highways and county roads in this county, and to save lives. So we do that in a number of ways, but ultimately our goal is to try to prevent injury-causing accidents and collisions in the county, and to just make sure that we maintain the highways and byways of the county so that people can travel freely. We focus most of our efforts on our enforcement, and we do that in a number of ways. One primary way is beat accountability, is what we like to call it. Basically, our officers out on their assigned beats, whether it's Highway 20 or Highway 29, and all the other state routes in the county, providing service to the public as they utilize the highways, checking on disabled motorists, looking for impaired drivers, and obviously responding to collisions, trying to open up the roadways as quickly as possible, but also provide that level of service that's expected of us, investigating collisions, making sure that they're documented correctly and appropriately. Our main focus as far as enforcement is PCFs. We call it PCFs. It's primary collision factors. Factors that we have learned over time are the leading cause of accidents in the county, those being speed, following too closely, driving erratically, those type of things. I'm going to look at my notes here real quick. DUI is a big part of our focus. Obviously, impaired drivers, looking for signs of impairment on the road, erratic driving behavior, people calling in vehicles that they see are driving what they would, they would determine not normal driving behaviors. We actually rely a lot on the public to report dangerous drivers on the roadway, and they can do that very easily. We consider that a high priority, so anyone that observes somebody driving on the highway either recklessly or maybe in their opinion that's impaired, they can call 911. That'll any 911 call from a cell phone will relay directly to our dispatch, which our dispatch can then provide the information to our officers, and they can go out and look for impaired drivers. It's very helpful if the public can give us good identifying information on vehicles, types of vehicles, colors, license plates, partial license plates, directions of travel, roadways that they're on. But that's also something that we focus heavily on. Seatbelt enforcement, I know it may not be popular with everyone, but it's been proven and determined that a large majority of our major injury accidents and fatalities in the county are caused by people that are not wearing their restraints correctly or not wearing the restraints at all, so we enforce that heavily. And then just maximizing maximizing our in-view patrol, just making sure that we're out there available, that people see us, that they know we're here to help, that we serve alongside our allied agency partners, whether it's the police department or the sheriff's department. We work hand in hand with the sheriff's department. If they ask for our assistance, we're there to help them, and they're there to help us. And enforcement campaigns. And just recently we have a new commissioner, a young, motivated commissioner who has really kind of changed the way we do business and has really pressed upon us to be more active in the community and to provide that in-view patrol that people need and want. And part of his plan that he's delivered to all the commanders in all the counties throughout the state are this idea of enforcement campaigns. So several times, actually once a quarter or 4 times a year, our local area will be planning and coordinating some type of enforcement campaign in the county to focus on things that we identify that are causing collisions in identified problem areas in the county. We take statistics on fatalities and major injury accidents and where they're located and what the primary collision factor is in those, like meaning what was the primary reason that person crashed, and then we'll focus our efforts in those areas, and that's going to happen this coming year. I also wanted to talk briefly a little bit about some of our traffic safety programs. We do offer a variety of programs for the public. We have, I'll name a few that are pretty popular in this county. The Start Smart program is a program that we use we invite teenage drivers, young drivers to come to our office, and we present them with information and statistics on what's the most common reasons for young drivers to be in accidents, distracted driving, being on their cell phones, driving too fast. And we provide those types of educational presentations multiple times throughout the year. And if anybody in the public has any interest in sending their teen driver to that program, all they need to do is contact our local office and make the request, and then we can let them know on the next scheduled date and time for that class. We also have our Age Well Drive Smart, is that correct? Age Well Drive Smart program, which is kind of focused on senior drivers. It gives them information and techniques on how to be a safer driver when you get into your golden years, your senior years. Believe it or not, there's a lot of statistics and information that we use to try to identify things that we can, information we can provide them to help them be safer on the road and answer their questions if they have them. A lot of them may have questions about certain laws that have come into effect over the years or changes in laws, or and so we're able to provide them with that information, and that happens several times a year, and that can also be something that you can call our local office and we'll provide information on those classes. We also do, we call it what's the program for the high schools? Yeah, no, every 15 minutes. And so we do that, we try to provide that program, we try to support that program or provide our assistance to that program a couple times a year. Right now we're in the planning stages with Lower Lake High School. We did every 15 minutes last year in Upper Lake, which was very well received. And basically it's to promote, it's to discourage drinking and driving for teen drivers that are just starting out. And it's a very, how could I say, it's an eye-opening program for them, because we educate them on the dangers of drinking and driving, the ramifications for driving and injuring yourself or someone else or possibly killing them. And then we actually go into a whole remake, or like a mock collision scene, where the students get to observe us respond to a scene, investigate a crash, identify a driver who might be impaired, go through all of the field sobriety tests that are involved, take that person into custody, that child into custody, that teen driver, and then follow them through the whole process of being arraigned in court, and seeing what family and friends of the victims in that accident, what they might be going through. They film it all. They make a movie. They show it in the high school, and then they allow us to come in and talk and answer questions, and it's pretty impactful. Very well received in Upper Lake, and like I said, we'll be doing one in Lower Lake this year. So we have quite a few traffic safety programs that we provide throughout the year. And then ultimately, just, if you have a traffic complaint or something in your local area that you would like to see more enforcement or efforts made towards slowing people down, you can call our office and make those requests, and we'll document it and provide it to our supervisors and our officers. And when there's time available, or if there's a specific time or a specific person or a specific vehicle that we're looking for, we'll go out and we'll try to enforce that. And I think that's about all I really have. Do you have anything, Sergeant, that you think, anything else that? No. Okay, yeah, I mean, I'm happy to be here. Thank you for the invite. And again, like I said, if there's any questions about our traffic safety programs, you can call our office and make that request. I'd like to kind of end my speech before, if there's any questions, just to talk a little bit about recruitment. Every agency seems to be kind of shorthanded lately, and we're in the same boat. We are actively recruiting heavily throughout the state. Right now, we're over 1,000 officers down. And so if you know anybody between the ages of 21 and 35 that might have any interest in this type of career, we encourage them to come down to our office and talk to somebody. We're all trained and available to give them information on how they can how they can start the path to becoming an officer. And it's not just officers. We actually have lots of different job opportunities outside of the uniform position, dispatchers and administrative personnel and auto mechanics, and the list goes on and on. And those jobs are all available all the time throughout the state, and even in Lake County. And so we encourage people to come and ask questions or go online. We have a website that they've enacted. Let me get my card because I don't want to get it wrong. It's changed over the years. JoinTheCHP1000.com is the current website, and that will give you information on how to become a uniformed officer, but it'll also give you information on other jobs that are available through the Highway Patrol. And at that, I
just would like to say there, we had this last summer, we did one of your classes here for seniors and stuff here, and actually we had over 20 people show up for it. And, my wife and I took it, and with our insurance, we took them the certificate that we got there, and it was prorated for a partial year to get to the next thing, and prorated, it took $70 off of our bill.
Okay.
So, I mean, there's a lot of, and we'll probably do it again this summer, and it's good on our insurance, I think it's for 2 or 3 years, so, I just want to say thanks.
Oh.
A lot of people really avail of it.
Yeah, so we do provide a certificate at the end. Thank you for bringing that up. We also do that for the Start Smart program for the teen drivers, and I think that does affect their insurance.
They can bring it to them, yeah, and sometimes
It'll give them a little bit of a discount, so.
Every little bit,
Yeah.
it counts.
I've got a question. Why are the speed limits, let's take from Clear Lake over here, why are the speed limits changed so much?
Have they changed?
I mean, 35, 45.
Oh, you mean just the, well, when you get into the more populated areas, they obviously want people to slow down, so they
Go
put,
through Glen Haven, it's 45.
yeah,
You come through my house in Lucerne, it's 35.
yeah. So
I
We
don't
work-
understand where they get this.
we work hand in hand with Caltrans, and they do traffic and engineering surveys where they actually set up equipment and they track vehicles and their speeds, and they come up with what they determine as the safe speed based on the number of vehicles and the speed. And then they post those speed limit signs, which enables us to enforce it at whatever
All
level.
the accidents you see out there on Highway 20, don't you think those speeds are a little high?
That's speeding is always a problem.
Especially Highway 20, windy, a lot of pedestrians, a lot of little towns, right?
And we do try to, we do realize that.
It says 45, those people aren't going 45, you realize that, right?
Well, yeah, and we do focus a lot of our effort on Highway 20 on this corridor. We understand that the North Shore does have a lot, I mean, you have homes right off the road from Highway 20, the pedestrian situation. We did recently look at like our pedestrian fatalities, our statistics, and work with Caltrans in approving, basically in the next year or so, they've approved a highway safety project to provide illuminated crosswalks at a lot of the pedestrian crosses across Highway 20. And that was done specifically, that was officers identifying an issue, bringing it to my attention, getting the statistics that we document over time, talking with Caltrans, identifying the issues, and coming up with solutions like that to try to help prevent pedestrian vehicle type.
I mean, I've been driving over 50 years. Highway 20 is probably one of the most dangerous roads besides 101 in the Bay Area that I've ever been on. Extremely dangerous. And people fly. I've seen more head-ons and more accidents. I drive in the Bay Area every week, so I'm always using 20. And it's unbelievable. The passing, they pass on curves. I mean, it's unbelievable what they do. And that's why you guys are so busy on Highway 20. But I think we need to lower these speed limits. They're too fast. If you say 35 in front of my house, those cars are going 45. I mean, come on. Everybody's bitching about the fuel. Let's lower everything. Freeways. Big trucks are doing 70. Tailgaters doing 75.
I know there's been a concerted effort by our commercial our commercial sections to try to prevent, especially big rigs on Highway 20,
Things are unbelievable now.
the hazardous material, fuel trucks from taking this route and actually having to divert and go
But they
around
have no
Highway
problem
29.
with 65, 70.
Yes, sir.
I was wondering how many officers are you shy right now in the county?
Okay, well. Oh, yeah, sure. So his question was, how many officers are we shy in the county? Currently, my baseline amount that I'm allowed to have in the county is 25 uniformed officers, and we are working with 19 right now. Now, several of those are brand-new officers that are being trained, and so when you have a officer in training, they have to be with another officer, so it does kind of diminish that number a little bit, but, you know, it's definitely something we're constantly working on. Recruitment is a huge deal. Miles?
At least 20 officers that you have as discovered.
I wouldn't know. Do you know? Do you know how many miles in the county that we cover? I don't know how many total miles. It's a good question. It's a big county, lots of roadways.
We've got county roads up to, Elk Mountain Road up to a whole mountain. I mean, we cover a big space, so like on every county road in between.
That's
Spring
to me,
Valley.
that's
It's a lot of
huge.
Spring Valley. It's a big
19
county.
miles, 20 miles?
It's a very large space, the amount of officers we have, even board staff.
And that's 3 shifts, day shift, swing shift, and a night shift.
So I've noticed fairly often that there's highway patrol officers that park alongside the road in Nice, waiting for speeders or whatever that are going through town. But I very rarely see anybody in Lucerne parked along the road, watching for especially people passing down the center of the road.
Really,
They do that all the time.
All the time.
And I'm just wondering why there's not more of a presence in Lucerne when I see it in Nice.
There's no real reason. I can't give you a specific reason. An officer's beat can be from Highway 175 Hopland all the way down through Lucerne. I mean, I don't know where the cutoff is for north or south, but it's a pretty wide area. But just by you telling me that, I can pass that on to the supervisor, and we can ask the officers that are assigned to this side of the lake to try to make a better presence in Lucerne when available. That's the kind of information we need to hear. If there's a specific location in Lucerne where people are passing in the right turn lane, in the center lane, and you can give us a time, then when we do these enforcement campaigns or when we have opportunity to come out here, we can let our officers know and they can make more of a presence. There's no real rhyme or reason. They're just, wherever they have a spot to run their radar or where they have a good opportunity to see some of the violations that we're looking for, they set up.
If you
But-
sit right there at 16th, right across the street from 16th by the county park there, that little thing, put a highway patrol right there, now we take it through the radar, oh my God.
I just have
You can make a fortune.
One more comment.
Yeah.
On occasion, when there's an emergency, I see the highway patrol cars going through town, and I'm guessing they could easily be doing 60+ miles an hour as they go through town for an emergency. That just seems, I know they have to get to where they're going, but that just seems awfully dangerous for this section of the highway.
Duly noted. We do spend a lot of time talking about driving and safe driving and responding to scenes and incidents, and we try to set it in the minds of our young officers that, hey, you can't get there and help if you don't get there safely. Sometimes it's because if there's not an emergency personnel on scene yet, then that ramps up our need to get there. But I speak a lot to the officers about, well, if fire is on scene and there isn't necessarily that immediate emergency, to maybe just tack it down a little bit and get there safely, because like you said, you're going through town and there are pedestrians and bicyclists, and so, but we do try really hard to be safe and to respond safely and to minimize our speed when we're getting to things. It just really depends on the situation, or if we're requested for backup and it's an emergency, obviously we have to get there in a hurry. But
See the bad guy speeding where
well, that's a good thing.
That's a good thing, right?
Anything else? Okay.
And so I wanted to just highlight, LT, you didn't mention the RRFB pedestrian crosswalk project. I think I talked about it before with you all. The CHP lieutenant commander and his officers put together a grant and with Caltrans to put up a pedestrian crosswalk that we talked about, we've been talking about for quite some time. And I think it stemmed from them attending the Worth meeting. All of the comments about people crossing the road and not being able to be seen in Nice and Lucerne. And so, lo and behold, I think it was last year, he reaches out to me and says, "Hey, we got this grant." And I was like, "What grant?" And, you know, and that was one thing that Kevin Wasik kept talking about, was these actual RFB pedestrian crosswalks. And so they are still, and they got the grant, so it is going to be worked on. It's going to be in Upper Lake, Nice, Lucerne, and Clear Lake Oaks. Lucerne has about 8 to 7 to 8, maybe, you know, there might be a little fluctuation. Yeah. And so the heavy spots, you know, in Nice and Upper Lake that need it, and then I think Clear Lake Oaks has 1 or 2, I think, or something like that. But that's a, you know, that's a really big plus. I know it's going to take some time, but I just wanted to also mention that because he didn't mention it. But it's these guys who put that in and got it for us. So, yeah, just wanted to remind you of that.
I appreciate that, and I do pay attention to. I attended a meeting in Upper Lake where there was some comments after the recent construction over by. I can't think of the name of it, but there was basically, they created a right turn lane that didn't have any arrows, and at nighttime when it was raining, it almost made it look like there was an additional lane. So for people that are not familiar with the area, they would enter that lane thinking it was a passing lane. And because of that, those comments, I went out and drove it at night, and I agreed with them. And so I went immediately to Caltrans and communicated with them about the problem, and they went right out and they painted these more identifiable arrows and made it quite clear that it's a right turn lane and not a passing lane, and I think that did have an effect. And so these are little things, engineering things that come up, and when people bring it to our attention, that we will communicate with Caltrans and try to come up with fixes for. So it's not on deaf ears is what I'm saying. We do pay attention to that stuff. So, okay.
Nice, thank you.
I got a question. So you said that you're right around 20 officers now?
We're at 19.
19? And then you talked before we started, so like from midnight on, there's 2 within in one vehicle?
Yes.
So then, what do you break that down so you have more officers on during certain hours?
Yes. We look at our statistics and our call volumes. We know what times of the day we have more calls. We know what days of the week we have more calls. And so we kind of focus our efforts and the bulk of our resources on those days, which is typically Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And unfortunately, in the evening times, after about 11 to midnight, the call volume drops dramatically. So it's not, unfortunately, with the amount of manpower I have, it's not a good use of resources to have more than just a few people working. However, there are times when we identify things where we can make adjustments to focus on something, or a time of year or a holiday. The holidays are a big deal. We do MEPs, maximum enforcement periods, where I'm basically ordered to staff at least 80% of my available staffing on the holiday weekends when we know that there might be a lot more traffic and a lot more issues. So we do look at that stuff in order to make the best decisions about where we send our resources.
I've also noticed, I was telling him earlier, they take Country Club a lot of times. I know that in Nice, it's been reported that they take Lakeview as well, because a lot of the folks that are causing problems or speeding or whatever like to take those back ways, you know, and so yeah, it's been really good to see that and get reports about that. So I just wanted to give you the feedback.
Okay.
Actually, I had a question for you. Did you say you had a like a reporting number that folks might be able to call? Say you have people passing in the turning lane regularly to.
If it's just a normal traffic complaint, it's not like a immediate emergency, like it's not, yeah, you could call our office.
Okay.
And any officer that answers will document it on a traffic complaint form. And then what they do is they hand it to the supervisors, and then when we do our briefings, we look at who's working the county for that day, and we'll hand it to them. We'll say, hey, we've got a problem out here. If, you know, get a chance, if you don't get sent to a call, if you could focus your attention on that. So we do make attempts to try to focus on those we call them traffic complaints.
That's good to know. Yeah, that does help, because I know especially turning lane speeders are pretty major through. I think it's really about the 2nd Avenue to 16th Avenue corridor, not every curve, but it's only in the straightaways. But yeah, I haven't seen it in a little while. It tends to be only dry weather, but it does happen, so.
And I actually encourage my officers, it doesn't always happen, but if they go to a traffic complaint and there's actually a number and a name of somebody that called it in, I actually encourage them to call that person and say, hey, I'm out here right now, just so you know, and can you direct me, can you tell me exactly where you're seeing these problems, so that, a little bit more direct contact with the public, so.
Awesome, thank you.
Use Okay. We good? Did you have anything else to add, or no?
No, yeah, we're kind of doing what we can, trying to make a little difference where we're able to, and, just real quick to address the speed limit things that you talked about, sir. Can we get on the microphone?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, Sergeant Skeen here at the CHP, also local. Kelsey, we've been here about 11 years now. But with the speed limits, you got to think about as well, if Caltrans were to inadvertently lower the speed limits, and then we go out there and we write a bunch of speeding tickets on those speeds, it's going to be a little bit unjust if they're not justified by that traffic survey. So that's why Caltrans can't just go out there and lower speed limits, because, Glen Haven wants people driving through their township a little bit slower, if that makes sense, right? We've had townships in the past do that. They drop the speed limit real low, and then they go out there and they write dozens or hundreds of speeding tickets, and it's, considered a revenue generator, right? It's got to be justified speed for me to go out there and enforce it, because I want to take just action against somebody. I don't want to just write, speeding tickets that aren't really necessarily deserved. I think from the collisions that I've seen in the last 10 years working this area, people who are following the speed limits typically aren't the ones crashing. It's the ones who are exceeding those speed limits. So, obviously we do what we can when they are exceeding those speed limits to be in the right spot to catch them, and try to prevent that collision. But that's kind of why it is the way it is at this point. Does that make sense? Okay, thank you.
Awesome, thank you.
You said that you were here for a while, so they move you guys around a lot, like the different, highway patrol in one area for like say 5, 10 years, and then move to a different area, or?
We don't have mandatory transfers for the CHP, so you can stay in an area for your entire career. If you choose to, life changes, circumstances, and you want to go to a different area, you're free to put in a transfer request, and it goes based on the criteria from there. So, yeah.
Well, awesome, well, thank you.
you.
Let's see. Moving down. Sure, we can. We do have the option here for item 2F to discuss and possible action regarding a potential future scheduling a potential future community cleanup day with, yeah. Dan, this was a topic that you've wanted on the agenda previously, right? Yes. Okay. Oh, yeah, here. Thank you, Charlie. Uh-oh.
Green light's on.
There
Okay.
it is.
So for the cleanup weekend, we did this back in the end of June or first part of May. I can't remember now exactly. And we actually did it without a town council. EJ and I put it together, and it was actually fairly simple. The things that we need to do are, number one, have a location, and we held the location was at the the Lucerne Hotel back here in their empty property. So I don't know if that spot is still available, but anyway, it was an excellent spot to hold the event. So we need a location, and then, of course, we need to call the garbage company and ask them if they're still willing to do another one and when they're available.
Sure.
So that's pretty much all there is to it.
Cool. Yeah. EJ, would you know how we would get in contact for the, I was at the dirt park, I know the area, I'm just trying to think, I don't think there's an address I could think of off the top of my head for the dirt area. The parking lot of the hotel, yeah. We could reach that.
Lady, the caretaker there, that, I know how to go over. They're willing to still work with us. And then also, so is the waste company. Because I was able to use discretionary funds. So I'll just make sure that works out. And we should be good. We just gotta set our dates and times and how we wanna do it again.
Unfortunately, this time of year is probably not a good time of year, because if it was raining and that parking area was muddy, it would cause a problem for the garbage trucks and the people bringing in their garbage as well.
Sure.
Yeah,
So this might be something that has to wait until spring.
I was actually thinking about recommending spring, because I know a lot of people do that spring cleaning thing, but it also gives us enough time. I know with the last one, we didn't have a whole bunch of time to let people know it was happening. And after the fact, I had a few people tell me like, oh man, I wish I knew that was going on. So if we set a date, the sooner we set a date, the better. And then we can blast it pretty much all over the place so people know that it's happening.
Well, we actually had an excellent turnout. We actually had to stop the event about a half an hour earlier than it was scheduled to end, because the garbage trucks were full.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, they would have, and here's the other thing I found out afterwards in talking with one of the guys that work in the garbage, he said, if we would have been full, like, it started at 9, right?
Supposed to be from 9 to 12:30.
Right, so what he said was, said that if we would have been full like at 10:30, they could have taken it down and then brought it back. You know what I'm saying? So like if we get full quick, they have an extra 2 bins to fill up while they're waiting. So, if we coordinate it properly, we could probably get a couple trips in and whatnot. It was just too late. They were like, if we go take it now, by the time we get back, it'll be like 1:30. So yeah, what we did, because it got to that point, there was just no point. So no point, but there was just no reason to keep it going at that time. So
Sure.
Dan's right. We had to shut it down.
Okay. Sounds like, well, for one, we may want to touch back with this idea just as an agenda topic, only because, again, I guess for information sharing purposes, I don't want to impart that.
We can't do anything
Yeah,
definitively.
technically we can't, we're on an information meeting right now, status only, so we couldn't vote for it if we had that. And also, it sounds like we may be able to take care of it outside of town hall and then be able to just report if and when we have a date locked in. It's cool. Well, we also might be able to do potentially like a biannual, so maybe even 2 per year, if you'd like. You were saying the last one you did, you believe it was June or May?
First part of June, I don't remember exactly, maybe EJ was.
Yeah, it was the end of May. Yeah, it was the end of May. Yeah. That's right. We wanted to get it done before Memorial Day so we can hopefully get people cleaned up. So maybe we do the same, either April, May-ish, and then next time have it set for the September or October before it gets rainy and whatnot, because just to have 2 of them. We wanted to have 2. I forgot what happened, why we couldn't do it this time, but Morgan is her name, I think it was it. She was willing. She's like, whatever you need, we're ready. So, yeah. Yeah. Yep.
So then, Dan, we will probably add this back to the agenda starting for the April meeting. So somewhere, yeah, we'll be looking for adding that community cleanup day by the April Monday, the 8th, CERT meeting. Hey, how you doing? Yeah. Charlie, you think you can, oh, here we go. He's going to take the mic. Hey, Thomas.
I'm Thomas.
Oh, green button. Oh. Oh, it's a hold down.
There we go. 1, 2. I'm Thomas from the Nice Upper Lake Committee, of course, or the advisory meeting. As much you know, I have a passion for cleaning. Was just on the cutoff recently with a dump site with my daughter, in fact, cleaning that up. And can we combine forces or have a cleanup day like this in Nice? And I mean, this cleanup day, I think, which was wonderful. Actually, I participated in it last time, Dan, and it was awesome. I mean, is the people from the Nice allowed to bring stuff over, or is this just only for the community of Lucerne?
I think we mainly advertised it for Lucerne because we were afraid that it would be more than the trucks could handle.
I got you. Yeah, there was quite a bit of, people took advantage of that. How is this funded, so we can maybe do something like this in Nice, too?
Lake Bed Management supplied the trucks at no charge.
Who is Lake Bed Management?
You know, our garbage company.
Oh, you mean
Waste Management,
Yeah,
Lake County.
Yeah.
I wonder if we could do something like that for Nice as well. Or if they'd be willing to fund a day like that.
Yeah, well, we can provide the phone number of the lady that we spoke to, and I don't have it with me, but she was very helpful.
Okay, so yeah, God knows we pay enough money to these people. So I think they should be willing to give us some time, for you guys. Maybe they'll do a day in Nice, and we need it over there just as badly, you know.
Absolutely.
Marina, is she the one that came to, we had someone come to our meeting one time from the, Marina, little gal? Okay. Okay. Okay, I'll do that, yeah. Maybe we can set up something in Nice in the same type, because I was there one of the times, and it was very successful. Thanks.
I mean, even if we collaborated the same day for Nice and Lucerne, but the problem is in Nice is there's not a spot. We need a spot where they can do it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Because Lucerne has that open field right here. We need, I think, the one good area that would be for Nice is Keeling Park. There's the old Lions Club. If we can get that chain open, that might be a good spot. So, yeah, that
know
might
that
be
area.
something like that.
Yeah, there's that property there, and that Lions Club that's
Right.
pretty much been not utilized for years and years.
So with Worth, you and I can work on that, because I work with Dan on the other one, on the one for Lucerne. Yeah.
That was really good, we need to do cleanup. But they keep dumping up on the East Cutoff and another dump site
Yeah.
down there too. It's just
Right.
phenomenally frustrating to see how much trash is thrown into this community.
Yeah,
Lots and lots.
right.
And then,
Cool, that'd be good.
I think I talked to EJ about this the other day, but whenever we get a little bit closer to it, I know at least I'm willing. I have a truck. There were a few people that I'm friends with. They lived over on 14th, so fortunately they were very close. But I think we did about 6 runs back and forth to get all of their months of backed up trash. They're caught up now, so whenever we get a little bit closer to it, I'll find some way to get addresses from people. And if people don't have a vehicle, I don't want that to stop them from getting the crap out of their yards. So I'm more than willing on the day, to make as many trips around Lucerne as I need to. I just need to know who needs their stuff picked up. And like I said, we can do that sooner, but I think I do have access to 1 or 2 other trucks too from family members. So we can try to set that up and try to get as much out of it as we can.
I'll definitely do the same that day, because I can get a trailer, and I have my old truck or my old SUV, and that way, if we can get someone, because I was traffic guiding, but I'm sure we can get someone to traffic guide, and that way we can get 2 trucks to help people. Yeah, yeah, just throw it in. Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw somebody in a Corolla last year.
yeah.
They came in, like, their car was stuffed with stuff. So if we can keep people from having to put trash in their back seat, I think it's worth it.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, but I bet you if you do this twice a year like that, it would just be an ongoing thing. I bet you it'd really help a lot cleaning up that town, I really think so.
Yeah.
That's where the rats come from.
And I agree, there's folks that have the mindset that, well, if you do it, they're gonna think that this is the only way, and I'm like, well, it's either that or we're still cleaning it up anyhow.
Or just let it get bigger.
Right, it's happening in the hills anyhow, it's a lot more burdensome to do it that way. As Thomas just said, look at the Rodman Slough, you know, I mean, they clean it all the time, and yet maybe they think that it's because they clean it up, but it's not, they do it anyhow, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still an advocate for universal trash collection, but trying to get people on board for that because of cost, but.
Yeah, it's a tough one, that one's tough.
All right. Well, thank you. Very productive. Let's see. Skipping, sorry, agenda items 2G and 2H for next time when we will have a quorum or members on town hall. We are at items 2I, discussion of possible action, including acceptance of an update from Supervisor Crandall.
All right, I'll go real quick. But I do have some things to update you on. So tomorrow, just make sure you know what's on the agenda for tomorrow at the board. We have a really big agenda. Every year, of course, we reinstall a new chair, a new vice chair and whatnot, so we'll see how that goes. From what I understand, it looks like, from what I've been told, it looks like a supervisor this year might not want to serve as the chair, so we'll be deciding that and see how that works. Let's see, we have, most of the other things, you know, they're just like grant applications and task force stuff for the cannabis task force discussion and vaccination clinics, things like that. But I chose these to talk about because I know they're more pertinent to what this town council is concerned about. One of that is the consideration of a letter of support for AB 817. I think it's by Assemblyman Pacheco, which proposes to change the Brown Act to enable indefinite use of two-way teleconferencing by members of non-decision-making advisory boards. That's like this and other town councils and other advisory boards like the Cannabis Task Force and a couple others that where basically you're giving us the opportunity to craft policy because of your recommendations. And so it doesn't make sense to cancel a meeting if someone can't be here in person, but they can join on Zoom. And they can still vote, they can still give their input, you can still have a quorum. And so we're doing a letter of support. I will be going Wednesday for a testimonial at 1 in Sacramento to testify to say that this is very important. In Clear Lake Oaks, we have 4 people. We've had 4 people for the past 3-4 years. I know here at times it becomes a struggle. I think that if I know that if Becky and Priest at times, because their conflicting schedules or whoever else probably could have came in on the Zoom during the times they had to miss, or even anyone else. I think even if you were in at that what was it, CSAC Atlas that time, you might have been able to even Zoom on that, but because of the Brown Act limitations, it wasn't able to. And so that's discouraging, I know, for you all, because we have to cancel and postpone, and we don't want to do that. So for me, I'm going to push this as much as I can. I know that Assemblywoman Aguilar-Curry was stating that it wasn't something they wanted to do, but we explained, I understand that these other counties do it, but we aren't. We're not trying to abuse that. So please give us the opportunity to have more engagement and whatnot. So so that's one of the things we'll be talking. It's just a letter of support, so it's not something that's going to take up a lot of time. Of course, 7.9 tomorrow, non-timed item, we'll be appointing all of the town councils here and there. You guys are on the list for your 2, so you'll be able to still meet this month. We were able to get them on for the Worth. No, I don't see his name on there, but you'll still have a quorum, you know, so they'll be looking for other people, of course, to put in for theirs, but this group will have a quorum with who I've seen apply so far. Let's see, last thing, the consideration of board direction regarding size and member categories for the General Plan Advisory Committee. And as you probably heard when Maria Turner was here for community development, she talked about the local area plans. Nice, Lucerne, Clear Lake Oaks, Glen Haven is part of the shoreline area plan. And it's very imperative that the towns have an opportunity to comment on how they want development in their areas. The general plan is going to be something that's going to be worked on as well. So there's it's going to take 3 years to complete. It's a visioning type of format. So it has there's a project task list and timeline that they have in the agenda that's showing how they're going to go about these meetings. And so they're going to have community meetings. They're going to also appoint a group called the General Plan Advisory Committee, which they want to, a possible membership, we'll decide tomorrow, of course, fire district, tribal entities, homeowner associations, education, water district, environmental groups, senior support services, business associations, conventional ag, cannabis industry, at-large 1 seat per supervisorial district. So we'll be able to appoint someone just in the district. Service organization, county departments, incorporated cities, town halls, media, airport, mining operations, geothermal operations, and hospitals. And so we'll be talking, that's not who's definitely on there, but those are just examples of who could be a part of this area plan committee. And so that'll be discussed tomorrow, of course. Very important, because the last time I think the shoreline was done, I want to say, I think it was in the 2000s. 11?
I want to say 11
Yeah,
or 12.
it
I saw
was.
a document produced later about the shoreline area plans.
Right.
I believe so.
That's about right.
Yeah.
Because we wanted, I remember Gene Polino from Upper Lake had us meet at the castle. He wanted to do a complete meeting with everybody to start looking at the area plans. And then, honestly, COVID took place, and that's when all that kind of stopped. But either way, we're at this point. He was obviously passionate about it because of Dollar General, but I think they got past that issue, right?
Maybe we should combine forces again, like Gene wanted to, and at some point, all the advisory panels will come together.
Well, you're going to need to for Nice, Lucerne, Glen Haven, and Clear Lake Oaks for sure. Yeah, yeah. And I know that Clear Lake Oaks, Earth, they're very passionate about this topic. So they're going to be some good allies for you to make sure your comments are in. Because what happens is if the area plan doesn't specify something that the town's upset about, you know, like what type of development comes in, I know that one of the issues that I dealt with on Planning Commission, I always bring this one up, is they were going to try to put a sign up in Clear Lake Oaks. And the area plan specified how high they wanted it, and then because it wasn't done in a specific time frame, they were allowed to do it the way they wanted to, the project, the applicant. And so I said, but the town obviously doesn't want it because it's too low. They want it, no, it's too high, they want it lower. And it ended up not passing, luckily, but with the area plan, that person applying has to just comply with that, you know, right off the get, rather than forcing it through. That's why the comments are important. That's why it's important for your input. That's just a small example, but there's a lot more examples that can come forward. So that's why that will be important to go from there. Right. So that's what's on for tomorrow. Real quick, just go over that situation that I talked about before with the Earth, and Worth getting the discretionary funds that I'm putting together. I have a meeting with Casey Marino. She's working as the finance. Stephen used to be the guy that did a lot of our budgets and whatnot. Casey does it now. So I'm working on that policy so you all have an outline of what you'll use your expenditures for and whatnot. It's $4,166. It includes basically, all three town councils split up of $10,000, and then your PG&E grant that you got in 2021, that never was spent because during COVID, actually 2020, and it was never spent because COVID and just kind of fell to the wayside. I'll be doing another mailer for you guys, starting probably this next week, so we have it out for next meeting, so that, like the one you just received, if you all received your mailer, trying to do another one like that so that people can be here, for sure. Because I think that helped. I got a lot of feedback, even though we didn't get a lot of people, but that's because it was a short turnaround for that meeting. Went to a, they're trying to extend the Berryessa Snow Mountain monument, and I went to make a comment December 13th at Woodland to support it. It was basically because of the, there was these wind, solar wind, yeah, those big, huge wind
Generators.
turbines, yeah, generators. And I think the issue for a lot of us when we had the meetings was that, meetings in the, with the group, was that they weren't going to provide any power for us here in Lake County, so it would have been outsourced. Why have it here if it's going to do that? And so this actually kind of helped with that. It stopped it for a while. Colusa County is in opposition. They want to keep it the way it is, but they're part of that program that wants the other thing. So it's like, okay, get along with them still. I still see them. We're cordial, so we just agree to disagree. We had a Hitch Summit, I want to say, at the end of August. Did I talk about that last time? I think I did or didn't. But the Hitch Summit was basically just talking with all of the agencies, all the local governments and tribes, and the California Fish and Wildlife, Water Resources, the California State Water Resources, some of the other agencies I can't think of off the top of my head, but like U.S. Army Corps of Engineers was there, Natural Resources. They all committed to like 8 different items to try and have done for next year, as opposed to just having the meeting and going back home. So I don't necessarily have the list of things, but I know one of it is to spend, I want to say, I'll say 1 million because I know it might have been 2, but for sure I know it's $1 million that they have in some of their budgeting. And so there was some other ideas they had and were brought up. And so we were really glad to see that they're willing to be committed towards that situation. Let's see. Important thing, I don't know if I talked about it last time either, there's a data software called OpenGov that we'll be using for permitting, and this apparently will take over for what we have right now called Acela. Acela right now doesn't have enough data ports and data information, not data ports. So it's very difficult to send it to a different department and whatnot, and it's not really accessible to the public as much as the OpenGov will be. So, for example, let's say that Dan wants to build a shed in the backyard, and it's bigger than 10 by 10 because 10 by 10 you can build. And he wants to get a permit. Now he doesn't have to go stand in line and, maybe drive over to Lakeport. He can go online, print it off, have the permit, post it on his house, build the deal. Pay online if he needs to. And also it'll be tracked by different departments, so air quality control can tie in if it's something that has something to do with that. Code enforcement will have access. So we're getting more to a streamlined approach where we're not working in silos like we already are right now. So that's going to be a very, we just approved the contract on the 28th, so we're going to have both contracts, Acela and OpenGov. They want to work with them 1 year simultaneously to be able to exchange everything over to OpenGov and abolish Acela because it's not helping us. So that's going to be a good, can you hear me?
I can hear you, but the speaker dropped you, I believe, suddenly, as...
Did the little green thing go off on that thing? No, it's on. It's on. So that's OpenGov. That's going to be a good thing. It's going to be helpful. And to coincide with that, the last thing I have here is data tickets. Data ticket is important because we have administrative fines, we have a garbage ordinance, we have vegetation abatement ordinance, and we have systems in place to fine people for their violations, but we have no teeth to go after them. Well, data ticket is going to intercept this process for us for citation tracking, collections, and administrative fines. It's more cost effective because it's $2,400 annually to use this group for the contract. They get $15 per ticket. We have to pay them $250 per ticket that they have to run someone's social, and they get 30% of the paid amount in collections. And then code enforcement, they're the ones that are primarily going to be using this to put the citations out. And currently, right now, Tualatin County, so they're able to collect these fines. They're able to OpenGov actually is used by Tualatin County, Lakeport, Clear Lake, and the city of San Rafael. Works pretty good. And so we're getting one step closer to having some sort of accountability for some of these violations. And that makes me very happy. I know it's not going to magic wand right off the bat, but just having the fact that you guys can all log in and be able to do some of this. I know that we have that online reporting for, code enforcement violations. But that's very tedious. At times we don't know where we're at on the ticket list and things like that. And then you have to upload your pictures a specific way. So many people that I work with that have issues complain about that process. So, OpenGov is going to be a better,
When's this gonna start?
well, it's not starting right now, but we just approved the contract with them. And so data tickets, we're waiting. They're going to negotiate. They don't need the blessing from us. We basically gave them, because it's under 25,000, 2,400 a month, they can just set it and be done with it, whenever it starts. OpenGov is going to take at least a year because they have to work simultaneously with us to get all the data in turn.
But the data tech, is that what it's called, data tech?
Data ticket.
Data ticket, is that gonna be the code enforcement they're gonna use for citations?
Yeah, that one probably will start as soon as they get that contract, but OpenGov, the new community development permit,
That's when you're out.
that'll take about a year.
But the data ticket is the one I'm excited about, because we've been talking to code enforcement for 2 years about, and I know AJ's been after about, in the citation program, more of it
Okay.
going, and they always complain they didn't have a vendor, so now this is the vendor, right?
This is the vendor that they were talking about, and what's frustrating about it is, in those ordinances, there is fines that can be implemented. My garbage is sitting there for a week, and you can see the juicy garbage just dumping on the ground. They could ticket that person. The problem is that they know when they ticket them, they don't have to pay it. But now, franchise tax board is going to collect, and that's going to be the plus. So, yeah.
So then, is it still, the big problem with the online going on there to make a complaint?
Mm-hmm.
You can't do anything unless you have an address.
Right.
So if you complain, well, on this hill, on this road right down here and stuff, but I don't have an address, you gotta have a specific address. Well, sometimes you don't have a specific address.
Right.
So then you can't do nothing because when you call them, nobody answers.
No.
And if you leave a message, I've never been called back.
Yeah. And that's part of the struggle too. Yeah. And that's where OpenGov, and I know again that's going to probably take a little while, but I'm hoping that that's going to be, well, it will be a better process than what we have right now. Yeah. That's what I have for now.
Cool.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, thank you. Let's see. Oh, all right. Well, that was it for our agenda items. Moving on. If anybody has any public expression, we're open up to public expression. Yeah, go on, Dan.
I just wanted to clarify that the name of that lady at the garbage company is Michelle.
That's right. It's Michelle.
I forgot what name we were throwing out.
We were Maureen, Morgan. It's Michelle.
Yeah, she came to one of our meetings, I believe, to do a whole presentation. So she's very, has a good personality, customer service, and so forth. So I'll get in touch with her and see if she can do something for maybe the East community as well.
Awesome. Yeah, and do please, if you can, Dan and Thomas, sorry, especially if a Nice event does end up taking place, let me know, and we could always cross-pollinate, just at least, I'm sure we have viewers or people that follow, for example, the Surf Facebook page that maybe would not know, and they would like to know that the Nice has a cleanup site, you know, and so, yeah, we can, once we have a set date, we can share that, and then similarly with Nice. Any other members of the public? Public comment? Do we have any? Oh, I don't think I can ask chat, can I? If anybody in chat has anything for public comment? I lost everybody. Okay.
Yeah, Kathy and Betsy both let me know that they were dipping out.
So that's a no. Okay.
Do we have a method so like that we can get the recording so we can throw that up on Facebook or something? Yeah. Okay. Okay, cool. So we can direct them there.
Cool. All right. So closing public expression. Number 4, any announcements? Any other announcements? I don't have any. Do you have any, Atlas?
I don't think so.
Okay. I do.
None that don't require a vote.
All right. So with that, we can go ahead and adjourn. We're going to go ahead and, let's see, 7:24, call to close this Central Region Town Hall information meeting. I don't have to have a, yeah, I don't have to, sorry. That's it, it's over. Yeah, sorry.